With physics, in order to explain the way that the world works, a lot of times we do have to use math and formulas. So before we dive into that, I want to just spend a quick minute refreshing our algebra skills because I know it's been a little while. So I have two rules. I can boil your algebra down into just two quick rules. One is remembering your families. Now, when I say families, I mean things that go together. One will undo the other. Your addition will undo subtraction. Your subtraction will undo addition. Multiplication goes with division. And then a real quick refresher, what goes with a square? If you're trying to undo a square, remember? Square root. This is the one that a lot of people forget. It's how to undo a square is by taking the square root. Now, when you're undoing a formula, trying to rearrange it, trying to put things on the other side, you remember those factors. If you're currently adding something, you have to take it away. Multiplying, you have to divide. And then whatever you do onto one side, you have to do into the other. This is my golden rule of algebra. Make sure whatever you do to one side, you do to the other. So I have a really quick slope formula for you here. I know you've seen this before, so it's going to be very easy to work with. The formula is y equals mx plus b, and I threw in some numbers right there just so that we'd have something to play with. And I am wanting us to solve for x. X is our unknown variable. That's what we want to get x equals whatever. So you might already be doing this in your head, and that's great. That's awesome. But if we want to get x all by itself, first we have to, it's probably going to be easiest to get rid of this 5. Notice the addition. We can undo addition with subtraction, so we will subtract on both sides. Remember, do into one as you do into the other. That will leave us with -2 on one side and 2 on the other. Now, we're not quite done yet. We still need to get rid of this other 2 that's married to this x. And they are currently married by multiplication. So to undo a multiply, you have to divide. It's divide by 2 and do into one as you do into the other. So x, in this case, is equal to -1. Okay, now this again, very easy example to get you started because I know you've just had summer and your brain is fried. So let's try something that you're going to see in a couple of weeks. We might be talking about final velocity. And when we're talking about velocity, we might have a formula like this. Our final velocity squared is equal to our initial velocity squared plus 2 times acceleration times the final velocity minus the initial velocity. A little bit harder, huh? It's fine. Once you get there, you'll understand what we're talking about. For now, we're just going to look at it as an equation. Just an equation, throwing it out there. Let's say we want to find what was our initial velocity. You knew I was going to do that, huh? How do we do the initial velocity? How do we get it all by itself? Well, just like above, we have this plus blah, 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 plus 2AD, blah, blah. We can actually use this as a big old unit and pull this over to the other side. So we can do VF squared minus, because we've got plus, so we need to do the opposite, minus 2A dF minus DI equals VI squared, okay? But we still don't have VI by itself. We still want VI, not VI squared. So how do we get rid of the square? We have to square root. So VI is equal to the square root of VF squared minus 2A dF minus DI. Or you can simplify this. Since you have square root of VF squared, you could just say VI is equal to VF minus the square root of 2A dF minus DI, and that's fine too. Either way will work. Okay, so hopefully this is kind of just a refresher on algebra. If for any reason this is something that you didn't catch the first time, we're going to be using this a lot, so make sure you stop and let me know you need to go through this a little bit slower. Other than that, you can go on to the next section.